Hello guys, it's EzraTime here, and today we are going to be talking about a spoiler review for John Wick Chapter 4, because again, I think everybody's gonna be so hyped about this movie. People are actually finally watching it now. But yeah, I'll probably just gonna wait like a day before I upload the video, because there is some also some editing that needs to be done as well. But yeah, so for the spoiler review for John Wick Chapter 4, if you haven't watched the movie, then well, don't watch this video, obviously. Go watch the movie first. I think if you enjoy the first three John Wick movies, then I think you're gonna love it. And I think this is the best sequel in my opinion. And of course we're gonna be discussing about the plot, what's or like recapping the movie in some way, and then what I thought about certain things. Now I can finally talk about it, in spoilers, right? And then obviously the ending, the conclusion for John Wick. So yeah, here we go. So John Wick Chapter 4 start with the Bowery King speech, and obviously Lawrence Fishburne is great in the movie as always, and we see John Wick just punching, like basically training, and on theaters that was so awesome, man, to just hear the sound of him punching the wood, I think, right? And because on theaters, like, well, it's so loud, but it was loud in a good way because it's really setting you up for the action sequences in the movie that is gonna be big this time, right? And like I said before in my non-spoiler review, the movie that does start with a little bit of action sequences, where John Wick is on a horse and then he shot three people, and then before he shot the elders, and that's basically the small action that we get in the beginning that I quite like it, because like it's a small action, it's fine, I like it when movie kind of like start with like a small action first and then go big later on, even though I don't have any problem if a movie start big, but this one I like it, I like it because how big the movie was, but yeah, and like I said before, this is like the comparison that I could get, from the first John Wick movie, that the first John Wick movie doesn't necessarily start with an action sequences, it start with just John Wick grieving, of his wife, and then in this one, well, yeah, it's different. The focus is no longer on John Wick, because well, we're four movies in right now, so they have to bring in new characters that I actually quite love, because these new characters are really really fun to watch, and obviously you got Donnie Yen as Kane, he has a story with his daughter, obviously, and obviously you also got a Bill Skarsgård character, Marky de Gramont, I think, right? And you got Shamir Anderson, who plays Tracker or Mr. Nobody. That's what they called him in the movie. Tracker or Mr. Nobody, and you got Rina Sawayama, as Akira, and then obviously Hiroki Sanada as Koji, right? Like it really focuses a lot on this new character, and I really, really love it, And obviously, we see Ian McShane back as Winston, and obviously we see the late Lance Reddick back as Charon, and yeah, it's really sad to see Lance Reddick just like pass away, because when I first heard the news, I was like really surprised, because it doesn't seem like Lance Reddick is the kind of guy who's like, about to pass away, right? He seems fine, he seems like healthy, and he seems, like ready to go and stuff like that, right? He's gonna do more projects, that's what I thought. But yeah, he just suddenly passed away at 60, I think, right? To natural cause, that really surprised many people, and once I see him in the movie again, and there's some people commenting in the background said, oh, that's Lance Reddick, Lance Reddick, and obviously, like, yeah, the word of his passing is just so sudden to so many people, and to see him in this movie is almost like really poetic in a way, because well, obviously spoilers, Charon dies in this movie, because Marquis de Gramont killed him, because Winston and Charon also like protected John Wick, in chapter 3, even though Winston shot him, and then he's still alive, yeah, he's still alive, that's the problem that Marquis said, and then he also said that he's trying to eliminate the idea of John Wick, but not exactly John Wick himself in a way. But that kind of play differently in it kind of play also differently in the movie later on. We're gonna get into that later. But yeah, for Lance Reddick character, it's almost like really poetic that he died in this movie. It's almost like the last performance that you get, And I was like really tearing up because I love his character. I think he was a badass, Like sure, in the first two movie he doesn't do much, but you can tell that you feel the presence of this guy, as the one who's like taking care of the guests and stuff like that. Like it was so cool, and obviously Lance Reddick was so good at the role, and then the relationship between him and Winston is also really amazing, and it's sad to see him go, in the movie and in real life, obviously. But I mean, he's gonna be back in Ballerina, I think, which is gonna take place before Chapter 4. We're gonna see Keanu Reeves again and then Ian McShane again in that movie. That's also nice. But yeah, uh, so the movie pretty much go to Osaka Continental at this point. That's where we met the tracker, Akira and Koji, all fun side character, and obviously the dog as well, and I think people are something questioning, why John Wick go to the Osaka Continental, but in my opinion, I think he might go there because for protection, because he just killed the elder, which is the man who sit above the table, right? And yeah, I think that's the reason why he go to Osaka Continental, because there is no other places to provide him service, because well, Koji is his good friend, and I think um even Koji himself said to her daughter that don't speak about a man that you don't know about, because it's pretty clear that these two know each other for such a long time. So I think John Wick, Koji, and Kane, the three of them know each other. They are like best friends back in the day, or like brothers back in the younger days. Before they got to now. So I think that's why John Wick was at the Osaka Continental. But at the same time, I understand the problem. Because I think John Wick should know that him being in a Continental is not it's not entirely secure, because obviously the Continental could be this, what is it, what's the word, the consecrated or something like that, right? Which is what happens eventually, the Osaka Continental. And then this is where we first see the big action sequences for like about 20 minutes, I think, or 25 minutes. Like, it's going for such a long time, because that's what John Wick is. When the action happen, it just keeps happening, and I love it. And also we got Marco Zarro as Chidi, which is amazing in this movie. He was menacing, like Bill Skarsgård is a menacing, but it was like true performance, for the most part. Obviously, actually all the part, and then Marco Zarro is menacing through performance, and then the martial arts stuff, the physical appearance, obviously, because Marco Zarro kick ass in this movie, and I love it. And yeah, so we see a bunch of cool fight, with the samurai sword, the nunchucks that we talk about. We see Kane eating a noodle in the kitchen. I think I remember seeing that. I feel like that might be a reference to the older Hong Kong movie, where we see like the bad guy just like the protagonist like went in and then beat a bunch of guys, and then like the main bad guy just like sit there at a table eating a food. I think that might be a reference to that, and then eventually like the bad guys put the food down and then kick ass, and that's what Donnie Yen Kane did in this movie. He is a noodle, and then Marcos or like Chidi was like, "Hey, blind man, do your job," and then like he just put down, and then like the rock music came in. I was like, "Oh hell yeah, we're gonna see Donnie Yen in action. This is great," and yeah, it's great. We see him using the cane, obviously, and we see him using a doorbell, I think, like as a way for him to know where the bad guys was, even though that's the only time we see him doing. But it was nice, the fact that they think about that. There you go. And my favorite part about the fight is that we kind of see him doing the Ip Man punch, like the repeated punch, like in Ip Man movies, all the Ip Man movies. It was really nice, when I saw that on theaters, I was like, oh hell yeah, Ip Man punch, baby, let's go. He did it once, and that's fine. It's great, and obviously we get again, we see Keanu Reeves versus Donnie Yen, John Wick versus Kane. Kane managed to get the upper hand on the fight, which is makes sense, right? Because well, it's probably one because Kane is probably much more capable, in a way. Also, it's probably because Donnie Yen, right? Because if Keanu Reeves won against Donnie Yen, then I think people might be complaining about that, right? He does get a upper hand because Kane is like pinning him down, and then that's what Tracker came in and shoot at a floor, I think. Like he could just shoot Kane, but he doesn't, which is fine by me, glad he was alive. Um, but yeah, and this is where the movie gets to like John Wick get to know the tracker, and the tracker doesn't kill him because that's one thing I love about the tracker, that he doesn't just kill John Wick immediately, but he's like waiting for the bounty to go up, like he was really cocky, which really gonna be bite him in the ass later on, which is embarrassing, but yeah, whatever, he's still a great character, like he wanted to be like up to 50 million, I think, but the bounty was like 20 million, 26 million, I think. And then also did we see Kane versus Koji for a bit, because Koji got shot, but this is where Koji got killed by Kane, and this is where he let go Akira, the daughter, to just let go, and then he said that I'll be waiting for him. And there's also some great line with two of them where Kane just like, "What do you have, John Wick? He doesn't owe you any marker, and Koji was like, well, I don't exactly remember what the line was, but it's just like, like he doesn't need to help a friend because of a marker, like friends help each other no matter what, like the idea of the line was that, I think that's great, like you don't need the marker to help, other people, like to help your friends, like it wasn't like an obligation, but as a friend. I really love that point, and it's almost poetic, because Kane character was like blind, so it's almost like he blindly followed the high table order, which is great. But yeah, this is where we John would get to Berlin, I think, where he gets to. It was like Winston basically offer him an idea to defeat the high table, to defeat Marquis, basically with the high table duel, basically. But in order to do that, he needs to a support from the family, his family, so he can do the duel with high table. And then he does get to the family. He met with Natalia Tena characters, I think, which is his adopted sister. And this is where we see I think John Wick was get sent to a club, I think, right, to defeat Killa, played by Scott Adkins. And yeah, I think the Scott Adkins part, I love it, because we get to see more of his performance. He's a great actor, but for the martial arts sequences, for the fight sequences, I was expecting a bit more, and there is a part of me just like, okay, he looks different, which is nice, it's something new, but at the same time, he could do so much more. Like his movement could have been way faster than that, But then again, if he was young, then maybe it's gonna be like a Chidi situation, in the end, where Chidi just like beat the shit out of John Wick, because he's still young, he's still great physically, If Scott Atkins' character Killa was actually Scott Atkins himself and not wearing a fat suit, then yeah, I think, I mean, John Wick is having a hard time fighting Killa, He was like big, and then he still moved fast, like Sammo Hung in a way, right? And I think the clothes that Killa wears is also like, it might be a reference to Sammo Hung from a movie called SPL, but it's also star Donnie Yen in it, where Sammo Hung is the main villain, and he wore like a red suit, I think, and he's also wearing a red suit here in John Wick Chapter 4. So it might be a reference to that, but I might be wrong. Who knows? But I definitely get some strong Sammo Hung vibe when I see Scott Atkins as Killa. At the end of the day, it's still a good act, a good sequences. It's fun. The music is fun. You see Donnie and kill a bunch of guys alongside with a tracker, and this is the first time we see John Wick, Tracker, and Kane sit together in the one room. It's great stuff, man. To see the two of them like together. I almost want to see like a movie made with the three of them like working together. That would be really really fun. I mean, we get that in chapter 4, but still, I don't mind it if we get to see more of them. But at the same time, we're gonna get to that in the ending to why. Um, but and after getting the killing Killa, get the teeth, and then he goes back to Katia. I think that's the character's name, played by Natalia Tena. Basically, they get to brand it, I think, right? The family brand, And also, oh, I forgot to mention, there's this one character there. It's like obvious reference to I am Groot, because he keeps saying I am Klaus, And John was like, John, I am Klaus, and he hits John, and then he takes John to the to Killa's club, and then he says, I am Klaus again. Like that might, I think that must be a reference to Groot, in my opinion, because like I am Groot, stuff like that. He only say I am Klaus, but just a small thing, but small character, but it was fun in my opinion. It was funny at times. But yeah, by the way, back to the point. Yeah, he basically challenged John Wick challenged Marquis to a high table duel, and Marquis decided to pick Kane as his representative, for the duel, because he was a coward, obviously. Like he's not gonna do the gun duel with John Wick himself, the Baba Yaga, because he knows that if he does duel with John Wick himself, that he's gonna get killed, obviously. So that's why he assigned Kane, right? I think that was obvious, but I feel that it just further points out that Marquis, even though he looks badass, he is a coward, against John Wick. He is afraid of John Wick, obviously. And they pick a location, obviously, in Paris, right, where I think it was called Sacré-Cœur, I think, which is a church. And in order to get like basically John Wick needs to get there before dawn, and we see the Bowery King again, basically delivering a suit, and this is where we get the line, like much better, best to dress once you get married, or buried, and yeah, there is a cool scene where basically Marquis basically just like putting a bounty on John Wick again, so he can't really get to the church in time, obviously, because again he is a coward. He wants John Wick to die. And he basically sent everyone against to John Wick, and it was like, wow. And I think this scene right here, where you see the operator trying to like telling all the assassins, where John Wick was. I think Chad Stahelski basically talked about that was actually a reference to the movie called The Warriors, which a movie that I never seen before. So I might see that after hearing that. But yeah, it's a cool sequences. We see John Wick in this in muscle car, and then riding around Art of Triomphe. I think. Again, I don't know how to pronounce that. It's French. I'm sorry, but the place. If you've seen the movie, yeah, he basically just like running around, drifting, and I just shoot a bunch of guys a couple of times. It was a cool sequences. We see him against Chidi here for the first time. John Wick get a upper hand, because there is a car just like spit out of nowhere. I also find it funny that the car just like keep going, even though there's a bunch of guys shooting. Like normally maybe the car would just stop, maybe. Some will keep go, but some will stop, right? But this one, like all of them just like keep going, and it's almost like make it like a video game stage. Like honestly, this entire movie feels like a video game, and I meant that in a really positive way. That it really was over the top, with the action, like especially the car sequences, where there's a bunch of cars just like keep going, and it's like hit a bunch of bad guys, and as the bad guys like flying across the screen, you see John Wick just like keep shooting at them, like, oh man, poor guy, and yeah, and obviously after this we get to see the John Wick get to the abandoned building, I think, and this is where we get to see the amazing one-shot sequences, where the camera basically like sit on top, and then you see this John Wick killing a bunch of guys, which using the shotgun, the fiery shotgun. I don't know what it's called. But yeah, it's just really really cool, man. Because again, it goes on for like I think 2 minutes or maybe 3 minutes, and then they brought back the red circle music, from the first movie, and I was like, oh man, I just can't believe they bring that back, man, because I love that soundtrack from the first one. But I was like, okay, well, it makes sense that why they didn't bring that back from the sequels, because it probably doesn't fit. But by the time when you see you hear the music start playing, I was like, oh my god, are they doing it? They're playing the music from the first John Wick again, the red circle music. Amazing. It's really are amazing. Like the sequences was shot in the top. Also felt like a video game. People have been saying like it's a Hotline Miami reference, which I'm not really familiar with. I'm sorry, but it really felt like a video game. I'm pretty sure Hotline Miami was a game too. Where the camera sits on top, and then you see John Wick just like blasting a bunch of people left and right. Like it truly felt like a video game brought to life in like a shooting game, obviously. And then again mixed with music from John Wick 1, I was like, man, this is perfection in my opinion. And obviously we see Chidi again. He survived the car, because obviously he's wearing a suit, I'm assuming, right? And then the tracker's dog helped bite Chidi. I think. Oh, before this, we see the tracker basically call Marquis to just keep upping the bounty. I think the bounty was up to 40 million at this point. And this is where again he gets cocky against John Wick, and eventually John Wick get the upper hand. He's about to shoot the tracker, but then John Wick see Chidi about to shoot the tracker's dog, and he chooses to shoot he chooses to shoot Chidi instead, and Chidi falls the stair. He's still alive, obviously, and that's where the tracker realized that, oh, like he actually spared me, and then he helps my dog, and I was like, okay, all right. And that's where the tracker are actually starting to help John Wick, which is a cool moment in my opinion. It makes sense, right? He's a dog lover. John Wick also lose a dog, so he knows how that feel. He doesn't want that to happen again. Also, as an audience, you don't want the dog to die, even though there's a one sequence is always like really worried where, in the car scene, where Chidi just like throw the dog into a car, but it was still okay. And I was like, oh, okay, he's okay, that's fine. And after this we get to the stair. There's like a 220 steps, I think. Man, if I'm not I'm really bad at climbing stairs, to be honest, and I cannot believe John Wick was able to climb that stair twice. Because the first one he fought a bunch of bad guys, cool sequences, and then once you get to the top, Chidi appear again, and he kicks John Wick down, which is really comical in my opinion, which is a funny way, because some people on my theaters are actually laughing where John Wick just like keep tumbling down the stair, and he fought Chidi again, and Chidi just like throw him down the stair again, and he back to the starting spot. I was like, oh man, okay, he has to do it again. And then this is where Kane appear, and he helps John Wick, like John, I need you to get up to those stairs, and that's where we get to see John Wick and Kane working together, which is really nice, And John Wick fight Kane again. John Wick fight Chidi again, and Chidi nearly killed John again. But as the trackers show up, he shoot him in the chest, and then Kane start to fight Chidi. He uses a pencil, which is nice reference, and then yeah, there's a cool line when Kane was like, but I can hit you, motherfucker, and then like spit on him. Like it was nice, because previously Chidi was like, you can't shoot me, but I can shoot John Wick, and Kane was like, but I can hit you, motherfucker. Like I love it so much, Donnie Yen is amazing, man. And then obviously this is where we see the dog bite Chidi's nuts, because the tracker said, nuts, and Chidi was like, sorry, the tracker finally shoot Chidi, and he finally dies, and then the dog peed on his face, which is like, yeah, fuck that guy, And then this is where we get to the dual pistol, obviously, with John Wick and Kane. And once again, they have to take the 30 paces, the first, basically the first shot, they take like 2 shotgun, I think, right? And they have to shot each other like 30 paces away from each other, and then the first shot like nick both of them, and then after that they have to like take a 10 paces close again, so 20 pace, and then they shot again, and then this time John Wick get the upper hand, shoot Kane in the guts, which is like nice, and then obviously the 10 paces, this is where John Wick doesn't shoot, Kane shoot John Wick in the gut again, in the stomach, I think, right? And then Marquis, be like, he was so like arrogant, because I think Winston also plays some part in this, because he was such an arrogant person, Marquis, because he wants to kill John Wick himself, so he can become, known for like killing the Baba Yaga, killing John Wick, And then Winston was like planning this idea before when he proposed the dual table to Marquis, basically saying that if you ever to kill John Wick, then you could actually make a name for yourself, even bigger than before, because you just killed the Baba Yaga or something like that, right? And he's like, haha, you arrogant bastard. He didn't shoot, and then and then John Wick was like, consequences, and shoot Marquis in the head. Like, I love that. So basically, Kane was able to reunite with his daughter, the Harbinger. Also, I forgot to mention the Harbinger, played by Clancy Brown, which is a cool character, the high operative high table. And he basically warning Marquis several times that maybe don't do this, maybe don't do it with the Baba Yaga, because like it's probably not a good idea. And he was right. Marquis got killed because he was so arrogant. And yeah, so basically Kane was free. He can reunite with his daughter. John Wick finally being free from the high table and stuff like that. And then this is where also Winston get the hotel back, which is also nice, as the manager again. And this is where John Wick die peacefully in the steps, where he kind of like he saw his wife again, where it's like Helen, and that's where he died peacefully. Now I see a lot of people saying that he didn't actually die; he was actually faking his death, which that might happen. So I'm not denying that, but it's just like John Wick might be still alive in some way, because I was expecting John Wick to like fake his death when I first watched the movie. I was expecting him to like appear in the gravestone, with Winston and the Bowery King, but he doesn't, Some people make a theory that he might still be alive, because like people, like he said, oh, Winston, take me home, but I feel like that could mean that, take me home, back to his wife, which is buried in New York, But I don't know, some people said that he might be alive, like faking his death. I don't think that's what happened. I think John Wick actually dies in this movie. And this is where we get the conclusion for John Wick, And I don't think this is a great conclusion for John Wick, Because the movie itself, the theme about this movie is about death, in a way. And then obviously John Wick is never going to find peace until he's dead, And part of me thinking that was the right decision to kill off John Wick's character, not only free the rest of his friend, from his problem, obviously, because we see the consequences for John Wick's friend multiple times in the movie and in the previous one, obviously. And yeah, I do think killing John Wick is the right move, to end the franchise, because the franchise has been milky enough, in my opinion. Although I don't mind for Chapter 5, but at the same time, like if they announce Chapter 5, I'm gonna be, like I'm gonna be nervous to see what they're gonna do with it, like maybe faking his death in a way, but it's just like, I don't know, man. Like this could be a really good conclusion to John Wick Chapter 4, And I know that Chad Stahelski does said that. He does say that him and John Wick was like done for the moment, But he does say that if everyone got cookie, then they're gonna take a quiet minute, Which is like, yeah, they're gonna go back eventually. But it's just like, I don't know, man. I feel like you shouldn't continue the story, because I feel like this is a good conclusion to John Wick, And you could still have a movie in the John Wick universe, because you got the ballerina coming out. You got maybe a Kira and Kane movie, because there is a post-credit scene in the end where Akira tried to kill Kane, as he about to reunite with his daughter. So I think they're gonna do something with Ken and Akira in the future. You get to see Donnie Yen again, which is nice. Or maybe they can do like a tracker spin-off, with Shamir Anderson again and the Doc. That would be really nice, because I feel like they really set up a bunch of good characters in this movie, side characters actually. Like they could be really good to have their own movies in the future, and that's how you continue the John Wick franchise. Like it doesn't have to be Keanu Reeves again, even though yeah we're gonna miss Keanu Reeves as John Wick, but I feel like it's a good end to the character. And yeah, and who's to say that even though the High Table promised that the problem is finished with John Wick, like who's to say maybe the lower guys is gonna defy the High Table, and try to kill John Wick maybe or something like that. Because again, Marquita said that he's trying to kill the idea of John Wick, the idea that you can go against the table. And John Wick managed to go against the table. He kills Marquis, the High Table member. He killed the Elder and stuff like that, right? It's pretty clear that John Wick can actually defy the High Table, so that's why Marquis tried to put him down in the first place. Like, yeah, killing John Wick, but also killing the idea of John Wick. So that's why I think killing John Wick is a good idea, not only to wrap up his story, but also like, yeah, if he was still alive, then I don't think he's gonna find peace, even though the High Table promises. Like I think the lower criminals might go against the table in a way, because again, the idea of John Wick, you go against the table, he can do it, I can do it, right? That's the idea that I get anyway from the movie. So that's why I think killing John Wick is a good idea. And also like the franchise doesn't need to go like to a ridiculous route. Even though some scenes are ridiculous, where John Wick fall from like 3 stories window and then like he still survived somehow. I was like, how does he survive that? Come on. And then obviously human physics was like flying around like a rag doll, like GTA 5. Was like, okay, come on now. But yeah, some people compare this movie to the Raid 2, which I get it, because the Raid 2 basically opens up the bigger world, for the Raid universe. We see Rama undercover, and then we see a bunch of underground gangs, in Jakarta, obviously. And that's why this movie also like it's also did that, it's only introduced a bunch of characters, and then like there's some neat story behind it. This movie actually has some substance in my opinion. There is some a bit more story to tell, unlike the last one where it's just like action sequences and then popcorn movie, which is fine. I love it. But this one has more to tell at least, and they try and then they conclude it, and I think that's a great idea. Like it doesn't need to go to the Fast and Furious territory, because this movie also felt like the Raid 2, and then kind of met with a little bit of Fast and Furious elements, because there is some a bit of ridiculousness for the human physics, where he's just flying around as a ragdoll, like I said before. So that's also the reason why I'm glad they don't continue it, because if they continue it, then yeah, it's gonna be hype, it's gonna be fun. I think everybody's going to love it, but it's gonna go ridiculous. There is some people complaining in online where they think John Wick franchise they're milking it, obviously, which I understand that. I'm not gonna defend that, but like I'm loving it so far. So I don't know if they do chapter 5. I think I'm gonna be really careful, because I think it might be a bad idea to bring back John Wick from the dead, or like faking his death in a way, because that's the ongoing theory. But I don't know, man. This is such a good story, such a good conclusion for John Wick. I almost didn't want to see another John Wick movie, because again, it's a conclusion that I'm satisfied in my opinion. So yeah, we'll see. I think Chapter 5 might be announced because this movie is going to be successful, obviously. And if Chad Stahelski does keep his word, then yeah, it's probably going to be Chapter 5 soon. But I don't know. I'm hoping that Chad Stahelski moving on from the John Wick franchise, because I know that he's attached to so many movies, like the Highlander movies, the Ghost of Tsushima movies, and stuff like that. Which he never move forward with that projects. You know. So yeah, I'm definitely want to see Chad Stahelski directing other movies beside John Wick, because John Wick 4, he is amazing for directing it, so I'm really curious to see what other project that Chad Stahelski did in the future. And yeah, maybe Keanu can do something else in the future as well. Who knows? But yeah, one thing for sure, we're gonna get a spin-off. We see the Ballerina movie spin-off coming maybe this year or next year. We see the Continental series coming this year. And we most likely going to see Kane and Akira storyline in the future, because they clearly teased that in the post-credit scene. And I'm really hoping we get to see Tracker spin-off, where played by obviously Shamir Anderson, and then the Doc again, because he is such a good character in this movie. He was fun with the Doc, so I'm really hoping they do like a standalone movie with him in the future. And then maybe him and Kane can team up, maybe him, Kane, and Akira teaming up against something. Who knows? you know, um, But yeah, guys, that was my John Wick Chapter 4 spoiler review, guys. Again, I'm really loving this movie. I think it's a 10 out of 10, my personal opinion. But if I'm being critical, then it's a 9 out of 10 because it was maybe some parts a bit too long, you know. And obviously some of the action sequences is great, but it could grow tired for some people, you know, because it goes on for so long, you know. It's just the fact that I was so used to it at this point, you know. So that's why I don't really mind it because and it was well choreographed, so I don't mind it, you know. But this is me, you know. So yeah, let me know in the comment section below, guys. Have you guys watched John Wick Chapter 4? What do you guys think about the movie? Do you guys think it's too long? Do you guys loving it, you know? Do you guys think the action sequences was going too long, you know? And what do you guys think about the idea of like a John Wick Chapter 5? Do you think that's a good idea or a bad idea, you know? What do you guys think about the ending and the conclusion for this movie? And obviously, what do you guys think about a spin-off for the future? Do you guys have your own idea for a spin-off? Then maybe you can share that in the comment section below. And yeah, guys, that's my spoiler review. And if you guys enjoyed, then leave a like, comment, subscribe, share the videos, the usual stuff. Stay tuned for more videos in the future, guys. And again, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Then, bye.